use data binding. Data binding in React. We learned about one small example. How many ways we can present the data. So next important, I showed you various techniques, how to set up Bootstrap, install and everything. So next important, we need to know how two-way binding works here. Working with forms and two-way binding. Actually, two-way binding, we need to design form. Form allows interaction with the users. We have to interact with the data. So many techniques are there, but actual interaction with forms is very lengthy process. For that, React uses ready-made libraries. Already I told you that React depends on a lot of third-party libraries. So actual way is very lengthy. So much work you have to do. For example, see. So suppose two details we will design. I will design a component here. Let's go to components and add in some register component.js. Okay, how to design the component? First, we have to import React. So we have to import React, from React base library. And to store the data, we need use state. That is for maintaining a state for the application. Now we will create export function. The function is register component. Register component is a function. It will return an empty container, or we will use a div, class name, container fluid. Okay, because we are using Bootstrap also. Now here we are designing a form. Means I will just keep a heading, register product. And in this we are designing a form. In the form, we have some data list. So with the data term, some name and a text box. Input type is equal to text. And we need self-ending, another data term, price, and data definition. So input type is equal to text. That's it. Now actually, I will make this in the startup index. In index, we have to use a component. The component is register component. We have to import and keep it in the startup. Now here we need to access the component and use it. So what we will do, we will run the project. npm start. So we will use npm start. So configuring and using this. Now, once the application starts, it starts with the application. And yeah. So the form is ready. So let's check. Now, how do we interact with the form? How we can access the data, bind the data and use it? Already I told you that React supports only one-way binding technique. For two-way binding, again, JavaScript like technique we have to use. That is the reason React developers depend on third-party components. By using those third-party components, we can design easy interactions. I will show you. Actually, this is now we will go to the register. Here we need to create a constant, and here we need to declare. So one is details we will define. So like we have product and set product. It should use state. It should use the state. Use state is enough. Actually, if you want, you can initialize values, because now in the state, memory is allocated. What is the type of product? By default, it is any type. That means it is ready to accept any type of value. If you want only array, you can put array. If you want only object, you can define object. You can set properties, name, and you can set price, some number like this. It indicates name is string, price is number. Now I need to bind this. So to these controls, we have to bind that. We have to access the data and use it. So generally, how we can manage the data binding and displaying? Suppose we want to display the details below. I will just put a heading, product details. And in data list, data term, one is name. Here we want to display the name using a binding expression, product dot name. Another, we will put price. Here we will define, so product dot price. We are accessing that information. As of now, those details are empty. Now, whatever entered in this text boxes, we need to collect them and use them. Then actually lengthy process, but in React you have to do like that. So lengthy process means, first we need to identify so the changes in this location. How to identify the changes in this location and handle it? So we need handle, we need a function. This function is handle name change. That is the function, and it is expecting an event argument. Similarly, we need another function. This function handle price change. For every control, you have to write the change event, and we have to collect the data and use the data. So this event should fire up when they are changing the value inside text box. So on change, what is it? Handle name change. That function should call. Similarly, on change handle price change. So this function should call. Now we need to collect the values and set to the product object. That means we have to use a method set product. Set product, it is expecting an object. In that we have a name. Name comes from e dot event dot target. Target dot value. Means whatever value entered inside the text box. Already you know that in jQuery, directly event object properties are not accessible. Event properties are accessible. Object properties are accessible by using target. So in JavaScript, object properties are accessible by using this. So we have another option, price. So event dot target dot. So here currently price is not matching. So we will keep the price what is there in the price. That means product dot price. That means because it is only to name text box, only name value will come and store here. Price value will be the value what is there already. This value comes from second text box. So when user enters the second text box, what we have to do? Set product. Here this time name will be product dot name, means whatever name is stored, and price will be event dot target dot value. The price value will come here. That's how we need to manage the change. So we need to get the value and configure the value. Now usually, so when user is entering the details, it should get the detail and display. When user is entering the price, it should get the price and display. This is two-way binding techniques, allowing to modify input and collect the value. But this is not satisfying because you will feel like JavaScript is better than this. jQuery is better than this. So of course, it is because in React, this is how it handles. Now this is not great. So that means React provides these kind of interactions, but not great. So developers are not satisfied with this type of approach. That is the reason developers with React depend on several third-party libraries, which can easily handle the data. So that means so many are there. One of the popular third-party, I will give you this example. Forms in React. So this is ordinary React form. So it's a ordinary React form, and its logic is this: register component dot JS. This is the logic. Now, how you can make this simplified? How you can make this simplified? You can use third parties. That means using third party forms. Third party forms, it depends on your requirement and what is suitable for your project. There are so many forms, like we have can do forms. We have formic can do forms. We have formic forms. So we have so many type of forms available. So technically you can use any form. So formic related libraries we can use. But one of the popular is formic. Very regularly used is formic. So how we can use these third-party forms? And remember, every third-party form is not same. You have to know about that form before using it. So according to the company's requirement, you will get the information from the people who built it, because this can do forms belong to Telerik. That means you can go to Telerik and see what they provide, what are the options of form, how to handle them, you can manage. Now, how these forms are used, how we can handle these forms. Let's see. One small example I will give you here. So means what is the solution for this? Instead of writing this much lengthy, first step, what we have to do is example, first step. So first step, you have to install Formic library. You have to install Formic library. npm install Formic. You have to install the Formic library. npm install Formic. So first install the Formic library in your project. So here we will install npm install Formic save. We are downloading and installing the Formic library. And the Formic library is ready. Once the Formic is ready, now we have to import and use Formic. So we have to import Formic. So from Formic, you have to import the Formic from Formic. So after importing, we have to use this Formic for designing the form. How we design the form? Let's remove this all logic now. Okay. And here you just put, so these also we are changing. Okay. And here you need to just put a button. We will put a button, submit. So, and whatever details are collected, we need to submit those details. We have to collect the details. I will remove these also, because generally where we post the data into API, we can send into some APIs. So here what we are doing is, when user enters the details, we have to collect the details and send the details. I'm not using even the state. I'm not even using the state. Now see what we are doing is, first we have to create Formic. That means we have to create a constant. So Formic. So Formic is equal to use Formic. We have to use Formic. And this Formic is expecting an set of options we have to pass as an object. Now see, so this contains, first thing, initial values. Initial values means what values you want inside the form. Means what are the values you want to manage inside the form. I want to manage name, so it is string type. I want to manage price, it is number type. I want to manage these values. Okay. So how to bind these values? How do we bind these values? You observe carefully. To bind these values to this control, every control in form must have a name. Name should refer to initial value. Initial value. That means we have to just use name. And here name, it should refer to price. Now what we have to do is, so when user changes the name, it should be stored inside that name reference. We have to use here a simple binding expression here. Binding expression is nothing but, so on change, what it should do. That means it should handle, so Formic dot handle change. We have to define Formic handle change. When this should handle, so when you are changing the value, that means on change. On change, so we are using Formic handle change. That means what this Formic have an handle change event. It will identify the changes and collect the value. After collecting the value, it will store in this reference. Similarly, so here we have to define on change. So Formic dot handle change. Handle change same. That means this handle change is an ready-made function. It is going to collect the value and store the value. That means you don't need to write them. Earlier, what we are doing, we have to write two events for them, but we have to just define those events. It will take care about collecting the value and storing, where the values are stored in this initial values. Now, what we have to do is we have to write on submit. On submit uses a callback function which will collect the values, and after collecting the values, that means it's a callback function. This is parameter na. Parameter is collecting all the values and it will send the values to any API. Temporarily, what I am doing, alert JSON.string5, we will send all the values there. We'll send the values there. And when form should be submitted, form submit should work on submit click. That means for form, we have to write on submit is equal to formic dot handle submit. Formic should handle the submit. That means we don't need to write, actually we need to write three functions, but those three functions are managed by formic. You have to just bind them and collect the values and use the values. Now here I am typing some name, I am typing some price, and submit, it should get that and display. Now this is collecting the data and using it. This makes little bit simple. Actually, more different forms are there. I just showed you one formic. Like that, so many third parties are there. Every third party is not same. It differs. Little bit similarity will be there, but a lot of changes will be there in every third party. Due to that, so validations, interactions, this all becomes very easy. Now, you cannot ask like which one is good in forms. That depends on their project requirements. One of the main advantage and drawback is this. Drawback is because it is not a framework, everything should depend on events. So if it is a framework, we don't need much events. DOM manipulations much not required. But advantage is it has a third party support for every technology. That means Java people can use Java plugins, Java third parties. They can use PHP, can use PHP third parties. jQuery people can use jQuery third parties. So various third parties we can use. That is the reason. So it can fit for any type of technology very easily. Because so what the technology provides, it can implement it easily. That. Anyhow, this is the concept of designing a form, configuring a form, collecting the data. So if I have to create a registration form, collect the data from the form and use it, then you have to follow all this approach. So different third parties, as I said, you can explore. I told you Telerik, you go to Telerik. In the Telerik, you will find demos. In the demos, you will find React demos. You see, can do React demos. You open can do React demos. In the can do React demos, you will find here can do. Forms will be there, right? Where is forms? F. Okay. Where it is gone? Here we have a form. And I select the can do form. You can see this is can do React form. And see the syntax for this form. Let's see the source code. There, here. You can see this is the form. And if you look at the source code, view source code, you can see can do form. So this is the can do form related code. It is different. Actually, what it is doing, it is using a form tag on submit handle submit. and it is using form element. Form element means text boxes and all. That means it is using a different approach of designing the form. It is using field property. Field property is for name, type, emails, types you can define. These are different. That means every third party is different. You have to learn. You have to explore by yourself according to which third party. But depending on majority of requirements, we have seen people very much using the free forms because these are all paid. Free forms, one of the popular is Formic, right? That is one library for interacting with the forms. You have to save and here register component. First, I will give a syntax, right? Second, we have to import Formic. I will give you that line. You have to import Formic. Next important is configure Formic. Generally, we configure like this: constant Formic is equal to use Formic, and it needs options. Generally, in options, so many options will be there. Initial values, it's an object. We have validation schema. Actually, this is a function. Similarly, you have on submit. It's also a function. Like that, it will have some options. We have to design accordingly. Similarly, as you have seen forms, example I will post here, register dot component register component dot JS. In that, all this code will be there. Register component dot JS, all this code will be there. Similarly, you have third party for API also. For API, I showed you fetch method. Similarly, you have a third party for API requests. You have third party for API requests. So we have so many. Actually, what we have done, we can use jQuery Ajax. We can use Axios. We have what WG fetch. So many are there. Third parties for API requests. I told you differences that fetch uses binary which need to be converted into JSON. jQuery uses JSON, but CORS issues will be there. But third parties, there are no CORS issues. So they will manage the CORS related issues internally. For that, we use third parties like Axios. Not only that, so many other features like they can handle multiple requests, get, post methods, everything. For example, you see here, so how to handle this? So example, I will show you how to use Axios. Axios. So we have to install Axios here. So npm install Axios save. So here we need to define, npm install Axios save. I already told you, if you are using any third party and you are not sure how to use it, from where you will get information? npmjs.org, right here. Every information about the libraries you are using, third party libraries, you can get here. You can search for Axios, suppose, and you see it shows Axios, and it will show you what are the features of Axios, how to use Axios. You see, all information is available. How to install it, how to configure it, so how we can manage. But remember, the syntaxes depends on your request. So syntaxes depend on where you are using, it depends on that. Actually, what we can do simple here, suppose how we can use Axios to interact with APIs. Let's see where we were interacting with APIs. Suppose I will add a component. So products component .js. So here we need to import React. So from React, and we need to import use state. And one more, we need use effect also. Use effect indicates on loading of component, what should happen. On component loading, what should happen. Use effect is like constructors in a function you can have. So export. So one more we have to import. What is it? Axios. Import Axios from Axios. We have to import it. And here export default component, that is function. Function is products component. And here it should return just a div and class name container fluid. And here we will put heading, some categories. Suppose I want to display the categories from some API I want to access and display. We will keep it in the startup. That means which component we have, products component. Okay, imported, and it is working fine. Now what we do here, we have to just use effect. Use effect is using use effect uses a callback function. That means use effect, it uses a callback function. And dependencies. And here in that use effect, we are defining simple Axios dot get. You have get, you have post like options. Axios dot get from which URL? http://fakestoreapi.com/products/categories. After that dot then we can get the response data. So where to store this response data? So now you can use state, a constant categories and set categories. Set categories is equal to use state. So it is expecting an array. We are configuring categories as an array. That means here what we have to do, set state, set categories. So response dot data, we need to send the response data. Response is an object which contains lot of response details. Response details like request code, request name, and data. Currently, we need only data. We don't need request name, request code. Request code means 404 200. Request names means okay, not found like. We need data. Now that is the data collected and defined. Now we need to present this here. So then we will put an ordered list. And what is it? Categories dot map. We need to need every category. So we have to map every category and generate a list item. So we'll have a key. Key will be category and the value also the category. So whatever the category is there, we should access and use it. So this is iterating and accessing the data and display. That is fetching the data from API and using. So we can do it fetch, we can do it with jQuery, but different third parties will be there. Depending on, again, requirements, limitations. So what features it is having, people use different third parties. You can use your jQuery also here, your JavaScript also here. So this is an example of doing it. That means syntactically, first point what you have to do, import Axios. Second, configure request. You can have another then. This is error. If you have any error, you can collect the error in the second then method. Right. So that is request. Okay. Now example I will post here, that is products component .js. You can try all others in a similar way. This is fetching using third parties. Now one more general idea you need to have is about routing. Routing is one key feature for single page application actually. Routing is nothing but it is a technique. It is a technique used to configure user and SEO friendly URLs. User and SEO friendly URLs. User friendly URLs, SEO friendly URLs you can design with routing. That means, so it is the key technique used for building SPA, means single page application. Single page application means user will stay on one page and gets access to everything. Gets access to everything onto page. Gets access to everything onto page. Actually, I will show you a general syntax. Without routing, like this, URLs will be http://www.amazon.in/ some electronics.html. In that we have question mark. Some category is equal to mobiles, question mark, ampersand. So min price is equal to some 12,000, like this we write. That means minimum price is 12,000, like that. This is nothing but to get all the mobiles whose price is less than 12,000. But with route, the URL becomes little more clean. http amazon.in/electronics/mobiles/12,000. Like this it will be. It is more simple. It is easy for search engines to identify what you are looking for, and it is easy for users to query any content directly and handle it. So routing is very big scenario, so much complex. You will learn this in the Angular very detailed here, because we are just taking an introduction of React. In Angular, you will find it complete scenario, means complete routing. You will learn what is it, how it works, right? But here, same, it is available in all advanced technologies. They are using this routing techniques for designing single page applications we are using. For that, React routing library is required. React routing library is required. You have to install the library and use it. React routing library is required. Actually, React, as I told you, it comes with only few libraries. The rest of them we need to design. So configure them. Generally, React router. So you can get from general API also. I will show you. This is the React official website. In this website, go to documents. In the documents, you will find CDN links. In CDN links, you will find the libraries. That means no need to install. We can use libraries directly. These links, you can use them. But if you have to use these links, every time you have to connect to the server and access from there and use it, right? So here, actually, when you are dealing with a library, you have to better download the library. And very recently, the new versions changed a little bit. That's the reason it may be confusion if you even try this by seeing online websites without really knowing it, because majority 98% of online websites, they are showing about React older version routing, which is completely changed now. That is the reason you will face problem if you try this through YouTube videos and all, because very rare videos are updated with new version. All are old version only. New version complete different. New version routing in React completely changed. So many new things they added. That is the reason you see here, you can try this. You have main concepts, now main concept advanced. Yeah. Here you can see here. So in these concepts, you can search for what topic you are looking for and you can understand. You can get them. Actually, this is latest version. Observe here, top version is there. Because actually what happened is, in the latest React version, The latest React version is React router. So latest version is latest React router is 6. Is 6. Very recently they made change. And remember, even React version is not changed. React router version may change. And if you are not in touch of this separate React router, you can't handle it. Because React version separately designed, React router separately designed. React version is 17, but router version is 6 only. 6 only. And 17 is using 6. Other versions are using old version React router, which is very different. I will show you. React router official website will be there. React router official website will be there. You need to go there because sometimes in the companies, so you have to work with the older version only. Don't go with these W3 schools and all. Official React router will be there. Where is it? React router. This is the React router. This is React router official. And see here, the previous version is 5 and the latest version is this. Very recent, just few months back. Due to that, many people are not aware of this new changes. Even experienced people also. So because they may be still working on 5 only, version 5 only. And with that knowledge, if they try to implement this 6, it's very difficult. They can't handle. So they need to know the changes what they have done. For old version, you can click these documents, you can see it, right? So for example, see previous versions. This is React previous version. This is the old version. In old version, what we do is means in old version. So open the web. It will show you how to install React router and how to design the basic routes. You see the syntax is router. In the router, they have some links to define. They have some links to define. And they are using some switch. And in the switch, the routes are specified. Now this is completely changed. Complete change. So this is old React, how people used to know about it, routing. Very recently, what they have done, observe here, what they are doing here, router. I will show you the previous syntax actually. So previous version, currently very much people know about this previous version 5. They use a router. This router uses this router configures route and it configures a switch. Router configures a route and switch. Two options will be there. There will be route and switch. Two will be there. Switch. So links are defined by using link. So that means link is used for navigation. That's used for navigation. Hyperlink like. But in the latest version, so latest version, that is, I will give this here. Latest version is 6. In this, they made some changes here. That means actually they added a browser router. And here they added routes collection. In that, they defined a route. Like this, so routes and a browser router. That means here in the new version, no switch, no router like this, no router directly. Links are links only. That is the reason it's very confusion for people who are trying to learn from online, because online they will give you tutorial and they ask you to create project. You will create project with the same command what they given. Command is same, but their project is created in old version, our project is created in new version. Then so many problems will come. So that is one drawback also, as I told you, fast pace of development, several versions of React every few days changes, right? Every month one new version comes. Anything may be changing newly. So see here, I will show you here how we can define. This is the path, and this is how they define link to various locations actually. Suppose see actual how we have to use. See the 6th version. Let's go to the 6th version. This is the latest version. You see installation is same. Installation is same, no change. That means through npm install React Router DOM 6. This is the command you have to use for installing. And observe here, you will find some changes now. You use a browser router actually. We have to use a concept called browser router. In the browser router, there is no switch. Directly we use routes. Directly we use the routes and we design. Everything is configured by using the routes, right? So many changes are there. I will tell you. See, means what is the concept of routing? Stay in one page and access everything into that page. Let's see. So what I will do here, let's go and design a simple in the components. I will add some separate folder. In the components, I am adding a or we will do one thing. So in the src, I will add a separate folder, site. Okay, in that site folder, I will add so new files like home component.js. So we will write a simple callback function. So everything should be export default function home component. And here we will just return. You can return anything. So I will just put a div and heading. So suppose shopping home, something like this. And online shopping store, something like this. Okay, similarly, I will create another component. So this is like electronics component.js, and here I will define this is electronics component, and here I will give electronics home. Here I will give some TV, mobiles. You can put some pictures or something like that, right? So watch. Okay, like this I will add one more component. So like footwear component.js. Okay, you can add as many as you want. Footwear component, and here I said footwear home, and here I am defining some name, some shoe, boots, so casuals, something like this I define. Okay, now I will put one more component. This is index component.js. So here we will import here. First we will export default function. This is index component. Better I will, because two index component. Okay, that is only index.js. We have index component, and here what we have to do is we have to implement routing design. This we will start with this component. That means return. I will put here a heading div and the class name container fluid, and here we will just design a heading. So shopping online, so or say Amazon shopping something. Okay, and now how do we configure the routes? For that we need to install a library. So I will install the library here. So that is npm install react router dom. So this is the first step. Example, first install router library. This is the router library. React router dom version 6. Actually earlier you have to install router dom. React router dom 6. You see here some changes here. You see when they give the versions, so you have to make sure that they are using the same version also. If they are not giving the same version, problem. See, this tutorial uses 6. They updated to 6, then it is okay. Otherwise, if you are not, then you have to face problem. So first verify whether that website is showing the 6 version routing or not. Right. Okay, we will keep this in the startup now. To keep in the startup, what we have to do in index, we have to start with which component? Index component. It is in site folder, index component. Okay, so that means it starts with Amazon shopping. Here we have to create, design your wish. You can design in any way. You use your bootstrap and all. Let's go to index component. Here actually we have to import. So one is browser router. We need to import browser router from router dom library. So browser router from React. So router dom. Where is it? I will do one thing. We'll configure here. Yeah. So import. What is it? Browser router from React router dom. It's not installed. Installed successfully. Not installed. It is not installed here. So I will install it. We haven't installed it. Just copied it. Okay. Okay. So it is installed successfully. Now we can implement. Implement from React router dom. Browser router is configured from React router dom, right? Now inside this, generally, I'm creating a div. I will keep a span. So, and or simple, I will keep here link. We need to import that link also from router. This link is nothing but it is creating a hyperlink. Link to which path? We have to define the path. I will give slash. So, and here we are configuring the text. We need some text also. This I will give as link to slash. This is home. I will just give that here, but still its functionality is not there. Link will create an anchor. This is React router link will create an anchor. Okay. Now, so we given this slash home, it should go to home actually, home. And here we need to define, so element, actually we have to configure an element, which component to deliver. That means on the link click, it will go to that route. That route needs to bring one component. So that component we have to configure. Actually, two techniques are there. See, where is the React? React router, yeah. See, that means in old version, what we do, in the new version, what we do is actual changes what they done. It's taking time. Let's it up. Before that, we will write it logic here. React to home, that is link to home. Now we need to create similarly others also. I will copy. I will keep a span and a pipe symbol. There is another link. This link to suppose slash electronics, and it should use electronics. Similarly, another span, it should link to. So it should link to. So this is slash footwear, and it should is footwear. But these paths are not configured. So only the option is that, yeah. These paths are not configured. Only option is there. So where to configure the paths? Here we have to use, routes collection. We have to use routes collection. This routes is a collection of all the routes. We have to import them actually. It automatically imports when you are writing it. Otherwise, you have to write them. In the routes, you have to configure the route. Every route will have the element. Here I will put an heading, horizontal line. I will keep an horizontal line so that it will show a horizontal line below, right? Now what we will do here, route. Here, route have a path. Path is like if it is slash home, that is the path defined. Then which component? Earlier we have to use component option, but now they changed it. They changed it into element. Element indicates which component to get. We have to define the component name. Which component? Home component. We have to get it. We need to configure that home component. I will give self-ending simple like this. That means it has to get that home component. You have to import that component. Similarly, we have to define another path. Okay. So route. So we need to configure route, and route path is slash. If it is electronics element is equal to which element? Electronics component. We have to use that electronics component. If it is electronics component. Earlier, we used to use the word component. Directly that component works. But now we have to use this element. That's so much change, as I told you, because you see here in the version 5 in web, you see in the routing, this route path where to link and access here. So it uses the component like this. Which component to define it uses. There is another technique. We can use the word component also. But here in the latest version, it is different. In the latest version, it is different. Suppose you see, main concepts I will take here, and configuring the routes. Where is it? Somewhere, yeah, you can see that routes have element option now. In the latest version, they changed this approach depending on that. So we need to configure accordingly, right? So which version we are using. Observe carefully now. Here, if user is not requesting, electronics is there, one more is required. One more is what? Route. So route path is slash footwear. So which element? Which element to access? We have to access footwear component. We need to configure that. Okay. And observe, if user is not requesting anything, by default it is empty. If user is not requesting anything, then you can write route if path is equal to empty slash, right? If it is that, then element, which element you want to get? I want to get home component. So home component we will get if user is not requesting anything. By default, it will get the home and display. Now, when I click on electronics, footwear, it's very simple. Earlier, to do this, AJAX in jQuery, how much AJAX we have used? Make an AJAX call, bring that and display here. But now it's very simple. Just you click on it and see, when you are doing it, it's not refreshing the page. Without refreshing the page, the new details will come here. This is what actually routing. It internally it uses an AJAX call for handling this kind of interaction. This is more simplified, but very confusion for beginners, because now latest version different. Even experienced person confuses, because lot of changes they have done, completely changed. That is the reason people already know React and working on React. Now when they create a new project with new version, so many changes, they can't even understand what is happening, why, where it is going wrong, until or unless they see that router is changed. Because many times people see from past 5-7 versions of React, router version is 5 only. Very recently only router version changed, React version same. That means 17 first version also, 17 currently which version? 17.2. So currently our version is 17.02. Current version is 17.02. So 17 version is there before 02, 17 version. In that 5 only it is using. In that it is using router 5. That means complete difference even for a small change of version. That is the reason, if you are not aware of this, you will face problem in that, right? This is a simple example of creating routes, configuring the routes. So we have to install the route. Next step, add a new folder, site. In that, what you have to do, add following files. Following files. What are the files? Home component.js. In that, some code I will give, simple code. This is the code, right? I will give the complete source. Similarly, add electronics component, footwear component, like that, etc. Anything you can add. Next step, what we have to do, add index component .js. In that, this logic we have to write. Index component is main. In index component, everything should be written, browser, router and all. This is the code for index component. We have to import browser, router, link, routes, and we need to create a simple navigation. So that means where you give the routes, that is the location where it renders, That means suppose if you want to take the navigation like this, see div. So class name is row, and inside the div, so class name is call3, and another div, the class name is some call9, and see what I am doing. So this links and all are there. I will pick up them and I will keep in call3. All these we keep in call3, and all these routes, what we will do, we will keep in call9. That means that is the location where the result should come. That means where the components should render, we are designing like this. That means now it will look like this. And now here we are configuring an unordered list. So list item and the list item and the list item, and the class name as a list unstyled, and the first list item is this first link. Item is third link, and I can remove these spans now. And these links can be same class name. You can use btn, danger. So same I am giving here. Same I am giving here, and you can see it will be in this way. Placements, width, height, everything. You can see the navigation is working similar. That means now it is easy for handling. Not only that, user can request from here. In the URL, what you can do, in the URL, you can simply type here. You can type here as some home and hit enter. It will get that home and show. User can request directly from URL. So user can request or user can select. This is example of routing, how it handles, right? How it works. Now, after understanding all this, this is enough. We are not going more than this in React. Just overview I given you. Now, next, we will learn about testing and deployment. Means how we can make this application live so that everybody can access and see it. Cloud, onto cloud, how to publish it. And how to testing, how to test the application that we designed. That means testing is, we are not learning any testing tool, but I will give an overview of JavaScript testing. In JavaScript, how functions are written, how they are tested, whether client requirement matching or not, test passed or not, failed. All such things we will see. Tomorrow we'll do that. Tomorrow we will see deployment and testing, how it works.